Round three is here. Texas is the circuit of the Americas. A fan favourite. We usually get good racing around here, but there's a common thread that we have seen since this circuit has been on the calendar since 2013, and it is Marc Marquez has pretty much dominated the, how could I say, the 2010s of this circuit. We've seen different winners throughout the past few years, but it looks like Marc Marquez will start favourite. Here's a few things to watch out for this weekend in Texas. The weather is the first thing I'll start with. It's always been a track that we've had good weather on race day, but there has been wet practices and the occasional damp qualifying session throughout the years. The track surface is very, how can I put it? It's a difficult track surface. There's always been issues with bumps, tyre wear, but I think that the Michelins this year should be able to cope with it no problem. We've seen last year very competitive races, multiple brands up the front. Are we going to get the same this year? I think it's going to be unlikely, but I think we could see some surprises. And if the track conditions and the weather plays into certain teams' hands, I think it'll be an interesting watch. But we'll start with Marc Marquez. Other than the weather, I think he's looked great this season. There's no beating around the bush about that. He has been fantastic. I know people are probably getting bored of the constant chat about how good he's been, but he has been. It's been a resurgent return to the old Marquez that we've seen, and a circuit that he's won at 7 times in the past. He went on an incredible run of 6 in a row. He probably is going to make it 7 until he crashed out in 2019. And then in 2021, he won again. And then after that, he's had a difficult run. 2022, he had a difficult qualifying and he made a bad start and he dropped all the way to the back and he finished from P24 to P6, which was a great result. 2023, he missed it due to an injury with his hand. 2024, he was second, I think, in the sprint last year. Yes, that would be correct. And then he was leading the Grand Prix and then had brake issues and lost the front and crashed out. I think this year, if there's no issues, we should be looking at a Marquez double. And yeah, it's simple as that. He is the absolute king in America. His record from when he started his Grand Prix career is absolutely ridiculous. Every race from 2012, or I think 2011 onwards, in all classes, so from Moto2 and MotoGP, until 2019, he won every single race in America. That was at Laguna Seca, Indianapolis, COTA. He won everything. And this is the nature of the circuits that he likes, anti-clockwise. They just suit him down to a T. I think that he is by far and away the favourite head into this weekend. And if he's going to do what he did in Argentina, where he led every session pretty much, and he went at the front, who's going to be with him? I suppose that's the next question. Will it be his teammate? Now, Pecco Bagnaia's start of the season has been well documented. Has it been as bad as he really is making it out to be? He actually has 6 more points compared to this point last year, and it's his best start to a season, I think, since 2023. So he does have a good start to the year. It's the funny thing. It's just that he's not in the top 2, essentially, with his teammate. He has an okay record around COTA. Best result coming in 2021. He finished in the Grand Prix anyway. He finished 3rd place. He actually won the sprint in 2023, and he was leading the Grand Prix in 2023 until he crashed out. And that, of course, handed victory to Alex Rins. What are we expecting for Bagnaia this weekend? I do think that 2 podiums should be his aim. It's been well documented that they think of it when they get to Qatar, a circuit that Bagnaia does like, that it should kind of reverse the form and he should be closer to Marc. I don't believe that necessarily 100%. I think that there's a deep-rooted problem with him and that 2025/2024 hybrid bike they have. There's even talk of going back to the GP24, which personally I think would be the wrong move. You want to be on the same machinery as your teammate. But Bagnaia does have decent form here, and he does have the tendency to surprise people when he kind of gets rode off, and I wouldn't be writing him off at any point of this year because he is a double world champion in MotoGP. He could have made it 3 last year in a row. He is a fantastic rider, and I think if he can be the next Ducati to Marc, that is the key for me, because the other Ducati that we're going to talk about is Marc's brother, and it's Alex Marquez. Not a great circuit for him. He has kind of struggled in recent years. Yeah, I wouldn't be bagging on him being first or second in every session like it has been for the last 2 Grand Prix. But I think Alex will be on the podium. He just has this confidence at the minute that is dragging him through everything, and confidence is the key, to be honest, to majority of athletes. If they get that good feeling and that ability to know that they're always going to be right on it from word go, it changes their demeanor completely, and that's what Alex has this year. I would expect him to be on the podium probably in both races. Position wise, will he be second? Will he be third? Or who knows? Could he even surprise for the victory? We'll have to wait and see, but I just want to see how Alex starts the weekend. I think it'll be crucial, because if he starts off in a really rich vein of form like he has been, I think he'll be right there with his brother. Until what point of the race, I don't know, but I think he'll be his closest challenger if he continues this form and Bagnaia is not at the races, essentially. Looking at other manufacturers, Honda, Johan Zarco has been outstanding. He had a great Argentinian Grand Prix. Circuit that Honda, of course, you look at the record, it's Marc Marquez making the difference. But the Honda really does like this circuit. Of course, Alex Rins winning in 2023 on the Honda. The LCR Honda, in fact, you have to remember, Johan Zarco does have a decent record of this circuit. He potentially could play a factor in the podium fight on the Grand Prix. Honda, the main sticking point for them, they have that. It's a big deficit in the engine capacity for the top speed. They just are getting ate up by the other machines, and I think it's more about the twistier sections for them here, if they can get that bike turning really sweetly, and I think they can. And who knows, Joan Mir's in good form, of course, 2 top 10s in Argentina. He's not happy completely, but he understands that the direction that they've gone in is very much the opposite compared to the last 2 years. They're in a good place, and I would expect to see a Honda maybe or 2 in the top 10 for qualifying. Like I say, it's just completely down to the top speed, and can they make up in other areas? I think they can, and we'll see how they go. Yamaha, I think I've been slightly disappointed with them this year, that they have flattered in testing and kind of got lost with the grip. They're so dependent on front end grip that the rear isn't getting used completely, and the front tire gets completely chewed, and they lose all their deficit and their advantage that they have with that sweet bike and the turning it can produce on the front end. Jack Miller, for me, has been probably the most impressive Yamaha, to be honest. I would expect Jack to have a good, solid performance in Texas, a circuit that he likes. And yeah, can Fabio Quartararo get in the mix? Can he get into Q2? We'll have to wait and see, of course. And then my rider to watch this weekend, I don't know if it's a good or bad thing, but watch out for Pedro Acosta. I think that he's shown very, very good pace here last year. The bike, of course, has changed a lot with the characteristics of the tyre and the KTM. It doesn't seem to be getting along with that rear tyre this year. Acosta is doing his best, but I think a circuit like this is such a rider circuit that he could potentially make the difference. And if KTM can sort out that rear tyre problem and just help him essentially in a race, I wouldn't be surprised if he's near the sharper end of this grid this weekend. The rest of the KTMs, can you believe it? 2 previous COTA winners in Maverick Vinales and Enea Bastianini. They're absolutely nowhere on that Tech 3 bike. And yeah, Maverick being the only non-Ducati winner last year on the Aprilia in the Grand Prix, I don't expect him to be near the front at all, to be honest. If he can get near the top 10, I'd be pretty impressed. Same for Enea. But yeah, I think that the KTM situation is really difficult, and yeah, I can't predict what's going to happen with him. Well, that's it for the kind of preview of the Grand Prix. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe. Tell me in the comments who you think is going to be the closest challenger to Marc Marquez. I'll be interested in reading that, because people are seemingly split on Bagnaia or Alex Marquez. It's difficult because the 24 is such a complete package. The potential's there with the factory bike. We're seeing it with Mark at the minute. Can Pecco extract any more? Can he get the feeling back? We'll wait and see. But like I say, if you enjoyed, do all that below. And if you enjoyed the video, come back next time. We'll do another preview. Watch the podcast. And we'll see you then. Take care.